Hello, hi. Okay. Okay. I'll check the voice. Hello, hi, Molly. Hello，还可以。Okay, let's start. Hmm? Hello. Okay, yep. Let's start. Hi everyone, welcome to Insights with Lily Zhang. Today is October the 19th. Now is European Central Time. Um, it's 16:33. Okay, because I just done a Chinese program, so I think this issue is so important. That's why I'm going to do a English one today as well. It's about American election, and well, it's about more about the system, and I'm going to talk about the democracy we think we have, or Americans think they have a say. They have one vote, and they think they can decide the policy and the president, which president they're going to choose. But actually, today I'm going to talk about the who actually control behind American election, what kind of forces behind the candidates. And we've already, if you notice the news, so we've heard quite a lot, especially last week, about, actually we're talking about October surprise. To me, it's not surprising. It's quite a lot corruption. It's not first time. It's not first time. It's not just 2020. We've heard so many scandals and corruption, maybe big cases, every election year. Every single election year in America, they're full of scandals, full of insults, and full of big, big corruption cases. So what exactly going on? What's wrong with? That's why today I'm going to talk about the crisis and corruption of democracy. Well, it's not it's not a happy topic, but here I'm just talking about my personal opinion. I was born in China, raised in China as well, so I'm quite familiar with the totalitarian system or the dictatorship system. Another word is communism system. So lots of my friends now, I've been in Western world, I've been in New Zealand, Australia, Germany now for many years, and I'm quite familiar with democracy system. And but my Chinese program, I've done quite a lot to introduce the system, and the Chinese, they lots of Chinese, because they have to jump over the firewall to watch YouTube, because YouTube is banned, and Google all banned in China. So they kind of, many people, well, kind of millions of Chinese, they jump over the firewall on the internet to watch program from the West, so they can get a sense of democracy. But they, especially quite a lot of my Chinese fans, they just get confused. They told me, well, okay, we are in under dictatorship, communism. We thought you have freedom, you have human rights, you have democracy. Why? Because they've seen so much scandal and even corrupted cases in America. They just wondering why democracy? You still have so many corruptions. Well, very good question. I wonder too. And of course, democracy is not a perfect system. It's not new either. It's not just, it's not a modern production products. Actually, when I talk history, especially Western history in Chinese, I already introduced democracy. This system was initiated in 2000 years ago from Athens. That was the system of the city-states, and they create democracy. Basically, public majority of the public, they can vote to decide who's going to be the counselor of who's going to be the head or leader of the city-states. And then after the Greeks, there's Roman, especially Roman Republic, Roman Empire. So Romans basically just further developed democracy system because Athens was just a city-state, but Romans developed that into a big state system, also promoted all over the world at that time. Yeah, so that's how. But Romans got a problem. That's why they change from Roman Republic to Roman Empire. That's I can say probably one of the reasons. There are many reasons for the fall of Roman Empire, but one of the reasons was the failure of their political system. Of course, prior to Roman Empire, there was the Roman Republic. For all sorts of reasons, change from Republic to Roman Empire because the failure of the Roman democracy. And this is nothing new because Socrates, I already talked about the philosophers, Socrates, Plato, and Cicero, they already recognized the problem, the shortfalls of democracy. Socrates basically, they identify to different political systems from philosophy king. That's that's the utopia. That's what Plato and Socrates they really promote. They think philosopher king, that kind of political system is ideal, but they don't put very high regard to democracy. It's only above dictatorship and also oligarchy, and another one is military and political combined together. So 2000 years ago, they already saw the problem of democracy. And Socrates really, I think it's still valid even these days after 2000 years. Democracy has to build upon a educated mass. So the public, the masses, they need to be educated. They need to be knowledgeable and responsible. So it's not, otherwise it's just going to be democracy and dictatorship, oligarchy, only one step apart. We can see that's why modern days we see probably many countries. We have, of course, most of European and North American countries. They are democracy, countries with democratic system. And some other countries like Russia, China, although they are under the flag of communism, but actually they are dictatorship. Of course, we see other countries like North Korea, countries in South America, and other Asian countries. Even Thailand, they've got a problem now. Yeah, last time I talked about Thai king. He resident in Germany, but anyway, that's another. Because Thailand is a funny country too, because they have the combination of monarchy and military government, also half democratic system. So in these days, we see most of our countries, we have a combined system, actually like China and Russia, although they call themselves communism countries, but they are actually quite a lot influenced by the capitalism. capitalism. They call themselves, probably more accurately called national capitalism. And in Scandinavia, as we see the democracy system is slightly different. They call them social democracy. Another word, probably welfare system. In New Zealand and Australia as well. And America, let's talk about America, because this time it's all about American presidential election. And I just use America as an example. I think it's just we see so many problems, and also we see the crisis, we see corruption of. America is a good example. It's a great country. It's got so many problems, especially this year, 2020. We've seen the coronavirus pandemic, and they didn't handle that very well. That's why that's probably a big issue of this year's presidential election. Yeah, also, the reason I'm going to talk about the October surprise, I'm just very disappointed as the lighthouse of free world, the leader. America is supposed to be the leader of the free world, the leader of the democratic system. But I'm quite disappointed from this 2020 presidential election. At the beginning, I'm quite disappointed about the two candidates. I've seen their TV debate. I made a program about that. That was, if you go back to my program, that was the worst presidential debate I've ever seen, or maybe in history. Yeah, from that, I only saw two grumpy old men argue with each other. I didn't see any policy debate. I didn't see any logic. I didn't see any manner of debate. I was in debating team from high school and universities. And I think even high school debating team, they probably show better manner, better logic, or better content than the 2020 presidential debate. Yep, so that's the debate. Also, the candidate, the quality of the candidate. I've got a big question. I've got the biggest question is why Americans have to choose from one of these two. They've got more than 350 million people. They can only nominate like two. One is 74-year-old, another one is 77-year-old. Donald Trump is 74, but at least he's a healthier one. Even after he showed positive in coronavirus, he seems to get out of that very quickly, and he's more energetic, more with character. Of course, we all know his character, but at least he's got the leadership style. Joe Biden, yes, of course. He's 77 years old. Some media say he's got dementia, or the early signs of dementia. And I've seen the videos about Joe Biden, forgot names, forgot dates, or always say something wrong. Basically, I don't know him that well, but I can see he just lack of the leadership energy and style. So for me to choose, I don't like either of them. And beside that, the debate skill and character, and also the quality of the candidate. Another thing is recently we've seen so many scandals, even corruption cases from both candidates. Yeah, I've seen basically one is from New York Times, another one from New York Post. New York Times just disclosed Donald Trump his tax. He tried to avoid tax. His family tried to make money from all sorts of dealings, and he claimed himself as a billionaire, but actually he probably not that successful in business. And most dramatically, he, for the past 18 years, 16 years, 10 years, he didn't pay any tax, zero tax. And the only 2 years he paid a little bit tax, about $750 each year. $750 for a self-claimed billionaire. The average tax Americans pay around $2,000 to $12,000 per annum. Even a cleaner or factory worker, they pay around $2,000 to $12,000. That's the minimum. Donald Trump paid $750. To be honest, that's my personal opinion. I don't want to nominate. I don't want to choose Donald Trump. I really like Donald Trump's accountant. Yeah, he definitely has the best accountant in the world. Oh, hey, Donald Trump, can I have your accountant phone number? Yeah, if I go to America, I'll definitely find out who Donald Trump's accountant is. Okay, that's Donald Trump. Also, Donald Trump's daughters and son-in-law. Ivanka, yes. I've seen her in G20s in Europe. She's talking with the head of the states in Europe. She's talking to the European Central Bank's president. What qualification has she got? Long legs? And a pretty face? What kind of experience has she got for her to go to G20, to be among the guests of the state, every European state? The only reason because her father, her daddy, is the president. I think most of my Chinese fans will be surprised. It will be so shocking because they thought corruption in China is everywhere, and they hate the second generation high officials because they've got the money, they've got the prestige. But they still, Chinese never seen the daughter of the President Xi Jinping going anywhere, visit as a head of the state, visit every country. That's in China. That's a dictatorship. That's communism. We've never seen anybody's daughter or son actually on the official state visit trip to any country. But we've seen Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, everywhere, every time. I just hate to say why Americans think Ivanka qualified for all those state trips. And why would they have no problem to pay for her trips? Who is she? She's nobody except she's the daughter of Donald Trump. Okay, that's Donald Trump. Well, the worst, at least, Ivanka Trump, they probably behave okay, yeah. And now we come to Joe Biden. Last week, according to New York Post, Joe Biden, well, I'm not going to comment on his sex tape or drug dealings, or not drug dealing, he's doing some cocaine or something like that on video. Obviously, he's got dealings of billions of dollars, business dealings with Russia, with Ukraine, with Chinese government. And why the timing is now? His father, Joe Biden, was the vice president in 2016. What happened then? All Hunter Biden's dealings was then when his father was the vice president of America. And why we've never heard of any cases about Hunter Biden then? Why we hear all the problem, all the scandal, all the corruption now? Oh, of course, because that's election year. Because that seems Americans are so. I think that's just absolutely stupid. They think all the scandals, corruptions showing up on the election year is normal. It's normal. When Joe Biden was the vice president, his son was doing all those corruption dealings with Russia, with a kind of enemy of America. And they haven't heard of anything of that. And they think this is normal. This is okay. Election years, we heard these corruptions and scandals. That's normal. I just feel shame about Americans. How can they be the leader? Of course, I know America is falling, is corrupted. But please, don't be the leader. Don't show up as a leader of the free world. Shame on you. Yeah, I have to say that. It's just how can I tell my Chinese friend? They're looking for democracy. They're looking for freedom from America. And now that's what they see. That's why Chinese government will laugh at America, laugh about the whole Western system. Okay, you say you criticize me on Hong Kong. All the things they do on Hong Kong, they probably learn from America. Yes, actually that's a fact. In 2014, they started the representative system, and to choose to how to decide who's going to become a nominee of the Hong Kong governor. And they copy the American system. I'm going to talk about that later. And Hong Kong people walked on the street against that because the representative system, they only allow like 12,000 Hong Kong people to choose a candidate from them, and then the Hong Kong governor, the nominee, the candidate of the Hong Kong governor will be chosen from them. After that, Hong Kong people can vote publicly. Actually, this is just a miniature of the American system. Yeah, so that's how corrupted, how failed the American system. I'm going to talk about that now. How American choose their candidate of president. Well, American system basically is called representative election or candidate. It's a nomination system. Most importantly, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. Americans got vote. Each person got a vote, and your vote count. But that's just, I think that's a lie. For Americans, your vote actually doesn't count that much because you've lost at the first stage, which is called primary nomination of the candidates. Basically, average Americans, they don't have any say on that. Those primaries candidates chosen by within the circle of the two big parties. And how do they choose their candidate? Very simple. Whoever can make the biggest fundraising will become their candidate. It's not because they are outstanding, they have very super ability to lead. It's not because they are morally and personality, they have an outstanding personality or something, or quality, or good quality. It's because it's totally decided by whoever who can raise the most funds. This is not said by me. It's a survey done by professors in Harvard University. They just work out in Congress. That's what they finding in Congress. 30 to 70% of Senate their time spending on fundraising. So when they go to the primary stage of choosing the candidates, 94% of the elements decide who will be elected as the candidate is by whoever who can raise the most fund to go for the election. So, put it simple, that's money counts. If, well, which is not if, the fact is the candidate of the primary nomination is decided by their capacity, ability to raise fund. The biggest question is who are the ones to give money to the candidate. So who called the shots for the American presidential candidates? Well, I can show you some chart. We can work out who, how many people, and the result is not surprising. Basically, definitely not your average Americans. I share some information with you. Yeah. Okay. This is some political surveys. This is before the 2016 election. It's done in 2014, and they showing who are the how many, because they have donation for the election, and what's the threshold, which is the threshold to donate, which is average $57,854. That's a threshold to, this is 300 million, that's the population. That's the amount you can, like the average money you have to spend to donate to the candidates, which convert to how many people can get into this threshold. About 150,000 people, which is 0.02% of Americans can contribute this amount to choose the candidate of the presidential election. This is 0.02%. So 99.9% of Americans have no say on the candidate of the nomination. How sad it is. And then after they've chosen the candidate by basically money, Americans only, like now, they only have two choices. They can only choose one of the candidates. They basically lose the first primary selection. They have no say at all. So they just shown just a very, very few people with money. They actually control the candidates of American presidential election. And majority of Americans have no say, or they just lost the opportunity to choose who can be or they just have no say at all who can be the candidates. The only thing they can do is to vote on the election day. But, if I've got money, if I want to control American president, very, very simple. I probably put money on both candidates. If I like one of them, I probably put in one, but for safety reasons, I probably put money on both candidates. So whoever you vote, if I've got money, whoever you vote, Americans, whoever you vote, your candidate is going to be listen to me. Okay, that's the candidate. Another thing, let's show about public policies. How much say average Americans have on their public policies. We can see from this chart, this is policy change, percentage favoring proposed policy change. We can see from 0 to 30%, that's a big change. And this is a predicted probability of adoption, just the opportunity to get it, the chance to get your policy passed or something like that. This is a very interesting economic elites preference. So you can see their policy changes from here, from 0 to 35%. That's quite a large difference. And probability is 0.7% to highest probably 1. It's a quite high probability. So this just showing the public policy change is really influenced by economic elites. Another word is whoever's got the money, whoever the very few people got the money. This one is interest group alignment. The same kind of chart. Let interest groups in support or opposition, from minus to, if you oppose something to support something, that's pretty big change, and that's the possibility. You can see the policy change dramatically according to the interest groups. Interest groups, who are the interest groups? They are the lobbyists. That's why, there are quite a lot of lobbyists belong to probably big economic groups. The bankers, that's why we can see the Wall Street bankers, they've got a lot of say on American policy. And probably weapons manufacturers and other groups, big business, corporate, and people with big money. Next, very interesting. Average citizens' preference. From this, that's the percentage, like if a policy will change at all. From 0 to 20% change, basically, the possibility of 0.3%. Influence is very small. But we can see this is a horizontal straight line. Are you going to be shocked by this? That means that means there's no change about any public policy. According, there's no change. That means majority of average American citizen, their opinion, their preference have no influence on policy change. 0, almost 0. The conclusion, that's the conclusion here. Yeah, that's the conclusion by Harvard University's political survey. The preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule nearly zero, statistically non-significant impact upon public policy. Yeah, that's quite sad. That's quite sad. They have like 300 million Americans. Basically, only less than 0.02% of the elites, they have say on public policy. They have influence on public policy. That's the result. I mean, I've already talked about that on Wall Street. We can see in 2008 financial crisis, those Wall Street bankers. Now I see the root, the fundamental problem. Yes, public policy. For example, in 2008, I already talked about that in my program before. Those big bankers, they created the crisis. They created the derivatives out of derivatives. They make money because they are greed and their shocking behavior, non-regulated behavior. They cause so much, they cause billions of dollars disappear. And then what happened? None of them, nobody responsible for that. And they passed, like American government passed a law to bail out the big banks, big corporations, bail out those crooks. Those crooks, they create the problem. Now they use where the money from. One is printed, another one is taxpayers' money. Basically, those people create the crisis. They've been bailed out by average American people. Who passed the law? Do Americans pass the law to bail out the big banks? Not at all. That's the big banks. They're lobbyists and persuade the Congress to pass the law to bail out big banks. Now you see the root. That's how American public policy has been decided for smaller interest groups. That's our democracy. Yeah. So we can see from the fundamentally Americans, number one, they have no say on who become American presidential candidates. Because if you don't have money, you don't get into the primary selection of the candidates. You don't have any say, so majority, most of Americans don't have the say. And then the only thing they have is the illusion on the election day, they have a vote. They have a vote to choose from two candidates. Those candidates actually were chosen by very few moneyed elites. So you call that democracy? You call, and Americans feel they can choose whoever they decide who can be the president of America. That's just a joke. On the other hand, my friends from China, they talking about the infiltration by Chinese Communism Party or by Russia. Well, we always heard Russian hackers. They infiltrate American system. They influence American election. And from what I see it's very simple. If you have money, if you want to choose who can be the American president, if you want to influence American politics and infiltrate American political system, financial system, economic system, even the media, very simple. Just use money. That's why those totalitarian governments or dictatorship government, it's so easy to control American politics. You just control the first step. Just give just whoever, because they've got money from America is their fundraising is private. So whoever got most money, but who can compete with China or Russia? They can use state's money to compete with your American private money. So, well, for example, if I was the president of China, very simple. I don't even need to choose a candidate. I put money on both candidates. I support those. Whoever going to be voted by American, I don't care. Because whoever they choose is going to be put my interest there. So that's how simple. That's how simple to infiltrate American political system. You just that's why they have a word is tradeism. Tradeism. That's 19th century. There's a governor called Boss Tweed. They said, I don't care about the election. Only thing as long as I can control the candidate, this is so right. This is so right. And it's not just political system. Foreign influence can influence. They infiltrate Wall Street finance system. They even influence the Western media system. Very simple, because the media companies they privately owned. They decide by market, by ratings. So those totalitarian government, wherever they put the money, that's wherever they can have their control and influence. When we talk about the media, the mainstream media, they've been infiltrated or influenced by money so much by those totalitarian systems. That's why, and also this time we see Twitter and Facebook, even YouTube, of course. I hope my program will not be censored. American this time they because just after Hunter Biden's computer, that scandal posted by New York Post, a newspaper. And then there are all sorts of opinions, people going on Twitter and Facebook to try to spread the message. And both systems shut down. They can shut you out so easy. So it's so easy. Those big corporate. So totalitarian government, they just use money. They can infiltrate American presidential election, American system. They can infiltrate Wall Street. Wall Street is purely controlled by money, so that's no problem. And they can infiltrate mainstream media. By that, they basically control the whole political system. They can control, influence the whole American presidential election. They use primary stage, use money to control the candidates, and then to make it look real, to make Americans feel real, they just use money to control the media. They can control how you hear story, how they tell story, and make you believe one of the candidates or whoever they promote is your choice. But that's such an illusion. Well, quite sad to say this. It's really just the failure of our modern democracy. Those two steps, those representative, that's why Chinese government used that representative democracy used on Hong Kong in 2014. Hong Kong people get on street. They learn from America. But of course, this is not a good story. And of course, not all the Western, not all the democratic countries are heavily corrupted. I can show you some chart. Actually, there are some good countries. Some good countries where you can see. Okay, this is the CPI chart. This is a corruption perceptive index. If you have higher marks, you are less corrupted. You are much more clean country. Number 1, New Zealand and Denmark. I feel proud. I'm proud of New Zealand. Absolutely, because I'm a New Zealand citizen. So, New Zealand doing very well. Not just the purest, cleanest country in the world, also politically, that's the least corrupted country in the world. And I can see the number 3, Finland. Number 4, Singapore. And Switzerland. And Sweden. Norway. Netherlands. Luxembourg. Germany. Number 9. That's not bad. I'm in Germany at the moment. We can see most of the the least corrupted countries are in Scandinavia and Europe. New Zealand is, of course, and South Hemisphere. So basically, these countries are smaller and they are more transparent. They have, like Scandinavia countries, they have a political system called socialism democracy. So they are basically of socialism capitalism. I talked about that system in Chinese before. So they are basically capitalism, they are democratic system, but they are more leaning to the socialism. That means I know New Zealand and Germany both, they all have MMP political system, so it's not just two major parties. There are some minority groups form minority parties. They still have some influence on politics. The next one, let's see who. America. Number 23. That's United States. France, 23. So, yeah, we can see it's not all democratic countries are corrupted. There are some clean countries. It's all about your political system. So there's hope. So democracy is not dead yet, although it's got quite a lot of problem. The problem, basically, I think, is by the selection. Well, from America, I can see that's the nomination process. How they decide, how they choose candidate. It's not by personal quality or capacity. It's mainly by how they raise the fund to do the election. So this is totally controlled by money. And whenever we ever have money, there will be, especially money combined with power, there will be absolutely corruption. Money plus power, that's the formula for corruption. No matter if you are Western or Eastern, if you are communism or capitalism, that's the formula for corruption. Well, I mean, I hope, 2020 is a very chaotic year. We've got the pandemic, we've got American election. Of course, this election probably is quite crucial. Well, probably because I think American this time is so infiltrated by other regime. Because before, American is they have this problem before, yeah, but not so serious. As Chinese, I know 2020 is such a critical year because our American system has been American political system, finance system, economical system, and media system has already been infiltrated by China, by Russia, by all those dictatorship, totalitarian government regimes. That's why if they infiltrate, they've already infiltrate America's democracy system, they definitely have influence on the American political system, or including other system I'm talking about. So this time is crucial. Donald Trump, yeah, I know he's got some problem. His family's got problem. Yeah, he's not a perfect person, but at least I think he's kind of outsider. I'm not an American, I can't vote, but at least Republicans' policy, they have some common sense, and they try to fight the corrupted system, try to fight with, that's why they try to decoupling with China. So they kind of, Donald Trump probably, I know you've got Americans, please, if you watching my program, I know you've got fundamentally you have this problem, but I think you still have chance to fight. My personal opinion, if I was America, I'm still going to vote Trump, because he probably have a little bit more chance or to change this system. Okay, I'm not American, but I hope. I just hope November 3rd will be a win for the free world, a win for the true democracy. Good luck, America. Okay, that's today's program. Thank you very much for watching. I see you next time. Bye-bye.